Welcome to another edition of Library Matters. I'm Bob Cannon, the supervisor of Clinton Township, and along with our Township Board and along with Janet Dunn and the Macomb Township Board, we want to welcome you today to one of the most popular places, actually one of the three most popular places in both of our communities, and that is the Clinton-Macomb District Library. We're going to talk about where we're at with the library, where we're going with the library, with a man who knows all about it, Larry Neal, who has now been the director for how many years, Larry?
It's been 8 years, Bob. Hard to believe. Time flies.
8 years, and I remember when you came in as an assistant to Christine Haig.
That was 15 years ago. We were in the little tiny storefront over at 19½ in Garfield, and it was about 4,000 square feet.
And what I'd like to do is take our residents of both of these great communities back to the very beginning of the library, when we thought we needed a library, but nobody was real sure, and we went to both boards. We went to the Clintondale Board of Education, and we ended up with a district library that almost was Clinton Township and Clintondale, but it ended up being Clinton Township and Chippewa Valley Schools, and it was the Clinton Chippewa Valley District Library at the time. And then as things grew, and we grew from Erie Elementary to across the street in the middle school, to your storefront, to the three beautiful buildings that we have today, it became Macomb Township and Clinton Township in a partnership. And the important thing about that is that's what the governor and other agencies are trying to do today, is to get communities to do things together so that you can save monies. And as a matter of fact, there are benefits financially from the state for both of us doing that. So Clinton Township and Macomb Township were ahead of the game in doing this. And Larry, we sit today in the very beautiful main branch of the library at Romeo Plank and Canal Road, and you have a north branch on 23-mile road or 24-mile road.
24-mile road.
And we have a south branch on Gratiot Avenue in Clinton Township. This is the hub of it though, and we're very proud of it. It's used extensively by both communities. Why don't you talk about the usage and how things grew from the beginning?
Well, again, going from a storefront with just 4,000 square feet, today we span over 105,000 square feet. We had about 40,000 volumes in our collections, and today we have over 350,000. Anything that you look at statistically has just grown by leaps and bounds. And the amazing thing is that people still are signing up for library cards at a rate of over 750 a month, and that was last year on average alone.
Wow.
So we have about 130,000 card holders today.
So you now have all this square footage and you have these books. When we first started out, people were saying to us, you don't need libraries anymore. It's a thing of the past. We have internet, we have computers, but yet your library system has grown by leaps and bounds.
Well, that's the funny thing. You know, I hear that quite a bit today with how e-books might replace the library, and back in the 90s it was how the internet was going to replace libraries. But what happened, it just gave us more to do. We brought internet service into the library, we brought wireless in because many people, the cost of broadband is very expensive at home, and so what better of a place to go than just down the street to your local library to be able to get that access or to be able to work on projects with other schoolmates, or so the internet has made our job tougher, but at the same time better, because people can get items in the formats they're used to, books, large print, and now they can get it electronically. They can get access to library materials 24/7, so it just allows us to provide more services to more people.
And speaking of large print, you have a special section in the library that services the blind.
Absolutely. That was a partnership. Macomb County approached us in 2011, and they were looking for a new home for the library for the blind, and they knew the reputation of this library to provide outstanding service to the community. Our board was concerned because we're funded by the taxpayers of Clinton Township and Macomb Township, and this is a county-wide service, but the county provides contractual money to the library, and we in turn provide that to the entire community and to all of Macomb County. Our residents here, of course, have the benefit that they get to see the service firsthand when they're coming in here. They may know of a family member. They themselves may ultimately need to use the service, and yet it's the same friendly librarians that they've known all along for all their other needs that they can get that additional service from.
I know that's certainly a point of pride of the library and also for both of our communities. And you also have provided a very comfortable setting so that people are coming here now and not just taking a book and checking it out. They're coming here and they're sitting down and reading, and they're bringing their grandkids like I do, they're bringing their children, and they're staying a while. They're not just coming and going.
Well, absolutely. A lot of people talk about the library as the third place. So they get out of their home, they've got work, they've got a home, and where else can they go in the community and just kick back, find a quiet place to read a book, meet with other neighbors they may not see otherwise, and come to the library. We get a ton of people coming through our doors. We get at the main library about 7,000 a week. We get 2,000 a week up at our North Branch and 1,000 a week at the South Branch. So it's a lot of people coming through our doors.
10,000 people a week
Yes.
use this system.
Yes, so over 500,000 visits a year.
That's phenomenal. And also, in addition to all of that, you provide meeting rooms for civic groups and others.
Absolutely. We have over 2,500 meetings of community groups throughout the year. This can include Red Hats, Scouts, homeowners associations, anything you can imagine, boating safety classes, parenting classes. We love to partner with other organizations in the community, and we love to support local groups, Red Hat ladies that just, where's a nice comfortable place to meet in the community that everyone knows about, and the library is the place they can do that.
And how much do you charge for that service?
We charge nothing. We already are, you're paying for it through your taxpayer dollars, and we don't want to double dip. We feel this is something that you should take advantage of. It also builds awareness for people's groups in the community, so you might walk in and wonder, what is that group meeting for? Every meeting here is open to the public, so it's a great way to find out what's going on in the community and get involved.
Now, each of our communities selects and elects at our board meetings representatives to be on your library board. Tell me about the importance of your library board and what role they play.
Well, our board is critical to the success of our library. We have 8 trustees. Clinton Township appoints 5, Macomb Township appoints 3, and they have all sorts of expertise. So we have an attorney, we have somebody with financial experience, we have a retired teacher, we have a whole collective of expertise. They're a governing board, so they are responsible for the budget and the policies, and then hiring the library director. And we have an outstanding team. They're not paid. They don't get money to even come to the meetings. And they're dedicated citizens that provide a tremendous amount of service back to the community in running and overseeing the operations of the library.
They certainly are great volunteers, but your list of volunteers doesn't end there. I know you've got many others. Can you describe some of the opportunities that people have to be volunteers here?
Oh, absolutely. If you are somebody out there wondering what you should do, you're recently retired, you're a student who needs community service hours, come to the library. We had in the past year over 120 people that gave 50 hours or more, and then a whole bunch beyond that have gave over 14,000 logged hours. A lot of people don't always remember to check in, but that's over the equivalent of over 7 full-time employees, and they do everything from filing to volunteering at the book sales. They use Book Nook, they clean shelves, they just do all sorts of work that really help us out.
Now, one of the things that took you from being a storefront library, and it was fun when you had it over there, next to Bridget's on Garfield Road, but one of the things that took you from that to what we have today, the 3 beautiful branches, was a millage that we asked the voters to vote on.
Absolutely. That was approved in 1998, and that was for the operations and construction of the library system. So that millage funds absolutely everything from beginning to end. That includes, first of all, the mortgages or the bond debt that we pay on our buildings. That pays for the operations, the lighting, then of course the staffing. We're open 72 hours a week, and while it's wonderful to have volunteers, you also need a core set of staff members to run a library of this scale. You also need degreed librarians. It's a master's level degree required. So we have about 130 members of the staff, but 87 of them are hourly. And then we rely on a core of 24 that are full-time and then 19 that are part-time.
So it was these 2 great communities coming together, voting on a millage that gave you the money to move from that place on Garfield to these 3 locations. Now, you are in the process of expanding or moving the South Branch of the library. Why are you doing that when I know, and we're going to get into this in a minute, that you have less money coming in because of the economy and what's happened with property values. But why are you making this move at this time?
I know this is a big question for a lot of people. We've been anticipating the challenges of revenue for the last 3, 4, or 5 years. We've been seeing what's been going on in the community with that. However, at the same time, we're looking at the timeline for our different buildings. And in terms of the South Branch, the lease is up in July of this year. We've looked at that location quite a bit. Up and down the Gratiot corridor is ideal for serving the south part of our service district, and we had looked at buying that building on 2 different occasions and just could not come to terms. And it's been a great success. We have so much use of that building. The community loves it. They see it as a hub of the community there. So we wanted to find a way to make a permanent commitment and investment in the community that we could call a building of our own, so that when we're putting money into it, we know that it's going to be ours to keep for the future. So last year, we've been looking at the Gratiot corridor for the last 15 years for opportunities. The building that was the pool hall came available. We had looked at it before when there was a video store in there for that section of it, but we didn't think a pool hall and library would be a very good combination. So the entire building became available, and the board decided that this would be an amazing opportunity, a very unique opportunity to have a distinct building that would have strong prominence in the area. And that, coupled with the fact that bond interest rates are at historic lows, construction rates also remain very competitive. The size was a little larger than what we wanted, but we could allocate a chunk of it for possible lease space and tenant income. We do that up in Macomb Township very successfully. And so we decided the long-term vision is that we're here to stay. The voters were promised 3 locations, and we're here to keep our promises, so we will make that investment.
So basically, you're moving out of a building that you were leasing that was too small, and the biggest problem I saw when I visited that site, which was often, was parking. So now you're not going to have that problem,
Right.
even though the current building is in the DDA district. The new one is also in the DDA district. You're taking a building that needed a little bit of polishing on the outside and much on the inside, and you're going to make it a jewel of the community in our DDA area. At the same time, our regional shopping center in that area is undergoing some renovation, and I know the movie theater is talking about doing some major changes over there, and a new facade has been put up. And we're always excited when the Gratiot Cruise comes in the summer because we set up down there with all of our charity groups in that parking lot,
Right.
and you're going to be right there with them.
Absolutely.
And you're going to be a big beacon right there on Gratiot Avenue.
Well, you know, libraries certainly have a community purpose, but they also have a secondary purpose of enhancing economic development. Again, with all the traffic just coming to the building alone, I mentioned it's 1,000 a week right now, but when you triple the space and you up the amenities, that traffic's going to increase, and that's just people going by businesses, seeing what's available, coming to the library, knowing that this is a good part of the community, a good place to be. So we hope that they will also take advantage of all the other shopping opportunities in the area.
Now, Larry, as a supervisor, I've had to make a lot of changes in the way Clinton Township does business over the last 7 or 8 years. We had to change because we had less revenue coming in from the property taxes that our community members pay. Has that affected your budget at all?
Oh, absolutely. Over 85% of our budget is derived from local property taxes, so we have felt that tremendously. The thing that our board, though, has been very mindful of, it's been a tough time in the community. People have had job losses, they've had cutbacks in their income, and we just didn't want to add to that negativity in the community and sense of challenge. We wanted them to think of the library as the place that could come for a solution, for opportunity, for assistance. And we wanted to be there with a smile on our face and have everything possible, what they were used to, in the same level of service. So we've been very mindful that it's been difficult in the community, and we've not made any of our cutbacks really public or talked about them. We've done them through a variety of ways. We have, as staff members have retired, we've replaced them with hourly or part-time or not at all. We have really shifted staff to move around to different locations. The nice thing about our library system, it was founded in the late 1990s, and we were very mindful of what staffing costs are, so we staffed very leanly from the beginning. We have no legacy costs. We have no retiree health benefits or other things that really can be difficult on a staffing budget. We recently compared ourselves to the other top 44 public libraries in the state, and we were the second lowest in terms of per full-time cost for staff members. Our budget overall is 44% on staffing costs, and while that may sound like a lot to many people, that's extremely low. So we are very lean that way, and we've been trying to stretch every possible dollar we can to keep the services without giving any bad news to the public. But
Well, from the very beginning, the way we received our money was because we had 2 communities that bonded together. We were able to keep some of the penal fines that were going to the state in our community for books and a library system. And that's how we got started, basically on a shoestring with about $100,000, if I remember right, as a budget, which was nowhere near what you needed to run even a storefront. So we had to expand beyond that, and I know that you've just explained to me and to the public the cuts you have made, the reductions you have made, the staffing levels are lower than normal, yet you come to what you look around at as one of the most beautiful facilities in the state of Michigan, all three of your sites.
Well, the library board has had a very strong philosophy that they're entrusted with the taxpayer dollars, and we are here to maintain facilities. We want the place to look good. In fact, the main library is 10 years old, and I have a lot of people that walk through the front door and say, "When did you open this?" And I tell them, and they can't believe it. But we keep the places clean, we keep the walls painted, we want it to be in good working order. I can't stand it if I see an out of order sign on a piece of equipment. That's one of my pet peeves. So I don't like that, and we do everything we can to keep everything in shipshape condition and in working order.
Okay, I know now that you have to come to the public and ask for additional monies because the monies that you were receiving aren't enough to keep up what you are doing with the bare minimum.
Right. We've seen two declines that have really hit us hard. The first is in taxable value in property. People have seen their taxes go down. It's been about 20%, over 1.1 million compared to what we received in 2009, so that's been substantial. And the other was the millage rate. So when people approved 1 mill, because there was so much rapid growth in the community early on, that rate that people were paying actually went down by 10% within the first 8 years. So we're getting 10% less of the millage rate. That coupled with the decline in the property tax values have put a real challenge to our budget to make up for.
Okay, now I just read recently that your board has voted to go to the public, both in Clinton and Macomb Township, and request additional monies. Can A, tell us how much is, what it would cost the average taxpayer, and why you need it?
Well, first of all, the rate, that's 0.39 mils, and the term is for 8 years. We did an extensive financial forecast to review 10 years of the library's historical costs. We took a look at the way we think revenues will increase in the future, that other costs may increase in the future, so we tried to take an entire view of the entire finances of the library. We also know that 8 years is a long time, so we're hoping that things will come back the way we expect them to. And so that helped us determine how long and the amount of money that we felt would be needed. In terms of value or the cost to the typical homeowner, in Clinton Township, I calculated it to be just a little over $20 a year. You basically take the market value of your home, so if that were $200,000. Taxable value is roughly half of that, depending on how long you've lived in that home. So your taxable value would be roughly $100,000, and 0.39 mils would translate to $39 a year. So again, if your home is $100,000, you can cut that in half to a little under $20 a year. You just have to, everyone's situation is different depending on the value of their home.
And have you calculated the same thing for Macomb Township?
Yes. We are a single district, so the vote is of the entire district of the two combined, and the rate is the same. So whether you're at 14 Mile or 26 Mile, the value of the tax rate for the library is the same.
Okay, very good. We had to reduce in our police and fire departments. And we did that through attrition over the last 7 or 8 years. Then when it got to the point where we could no longer provide the services that our people wanted in our community, we had to ask for a little bit more. And our voters in Clinton Township responded in a 2-to-1 fashion to say, yes, we want the proper fire protection and the proper police protection. Is that a similar situation that you're dealing with here in the library?
It is. The community has responded with tremendous satisfaction ratings for us. We do a survey every other year of about 40,000 residents in the two townships, and we had a 93% rating, which was amazing. However, to confirm that, we had worked with a firm that does marketing research on an independent basis, if you will. They did a telephone survey of users and non-users, and we had an 87% rating. The consultant said that was the highest rating in his 30 years of doing library research in terms of satisfaction. So we know that the community really responds to what we offer here. We hear all the time how much they love the services that they get here, how much they appreciate the staff and the space. So our library board said we're going to do everything possible to maintain that level of quality, but when you get to the point of needing to be able to sustain it, it's truly up to the voters of the community to decide, do they want this level of service and this level of quality going forward? So that is up to the voters to decide.
And what I can tell our voters, and I can tell the voters of Macomb Township also, is that this library helped bring economic development to Hall Road, and I'll explain exactly what that was. When the Taubman Corporation, who built Partridge Creek, was looking for their newest location, they were looking all throughout the area. They didn't just pick Clinton Township by putting a pin on it. They came to us and we showed them things that we were proud of in our community. We showed them the library, we showed them our civic centers, we showed them what's going on in Macomb Township, we showed them our new police and fire buildings, we showed them what we were doing as a community. And they did their study to see where the demographics were, and they decided that Hall Road and Romeo Plank Road was the place they were going to bring their new mall, which brings us over 2,000 full-time and over 2,000 part-time jobs. That helped us, this library helped us bring that economic development to the community. And what helps then is that you have up and down Hall Road now, other people clamoring for space on both sides, on Macomb Township side as well as the Clinton Township side. So this library has already helped us in many other ways.
Well, we talked about economic development, how the library is a draw. There certainly is an aspect of libraries when people are out shopping for a home. Of course, number one is always they're asking about the school district, but I do hear many people and realtors alike saying that the library system is something else that they shop out for when they're choosing a community. So we have the slogan on a countywide basis, make Macomb your home, but I feel that the library system helps make people want Clinton Township and Macomb Township their home. I had somebody tell me that they moved from Grosse Pointe, and one of the first places they looked was at the library, and they said, well, we actually like your library system a little better. So, you know.
Well, you're one of the institutions that we're extremely proud of. We have a lot of points of pride in Clinton and Macomb Townships, and this is right smack dab in the center of all of it. So thank you for what you've done. Your millage request from your board is going to come to the voters of Clinton and Macomb Township this summer. Could you tell us the date and how that will work?
Yep. The vote is on August 5th in the primary. We didn't want to create any sort of special election where there would be a charge to the township, so we're on the August 5th ballot. It'll probably be at the bottom because local issues get pushed all the way down after everything else. The last day to register to vote is July 7th, and absentee ballots go out around the first week of July. So we hope people will vote, remember to vote, and remember that every vote counts.
And I would remind our voters that there will be a lot on the ballot. There will be all types of things. The governor's race will be on the ballot. You'll have senators, you'll have congressmen, you'll have some local officials. There are no elections for Clinton Township board members or Macomb Township board members because we're in the presidential year. But you're going to have state representatives, you're going to have state senators, and you're going to have other ballot proposals. So it's my recommendation and my hope that our voters and the voters of Macomb Township become aware of what's on the ballot so that you can differentiate and go in with a good vote for whatever it is you choose to do.
Absolutely.
Well, Larry, we're going to end the show. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about with your library? I know we've covered a lot,
right,
and there is a lot to cover because it's just beautiful.
Well, a couple of dates coming up. I can't talk about the library in summer without summer reading. We have summer reading for people of all ages, so it's a great time to have the family here, bring your grandkids in. Studies have shown that kids who read and are read to during the summer maintain their reading level, so to prevent the summer slide, we let them come in. We also say read for fun, so you don't have to pick off any predetermined list, and just come to the library, get that field trip mentality in, and bring them in and have some fun. We've got a ton of programming going on this summer, and hope you'll join us for that. So.
And once again, you're hosting the Japanese for the festival.
Absolutely, we love, that's another example of partnership. So sometimes we get drums in and bring a little bit of noise to the library, but that's fine too because you know, there's something for everyone at the library. And if you've not come in, I do challenge you this. Anybody that wonders if a library is relevant, just come on in and just watch. It's one of my favorite things to do to people that say, oh, I don't know if people are using it. Just sit there and watch the front door and see who comes in. You'll be astounded.
Oh, I've done that. And it's all ages. And I come here with my grandkids. who think they own the library, by the way, and they start walking around like it's theirs. And then we come in with many, many senior citizens and everybody in between.
And you know, you're going to have to cut me off at some point here, Bob, but a lot of people still use the library now virtually. We have incredible virtual services that starts with online homework help. That's for students that need assistance with algebra, all those difficult subjects that a parent may not quite remember how to do. They can log in between 4 p.m. and 11 p.m. and get assistance 20 minutes with a tutor online through the library. If you like tablets, we've got e-books to download. We've got 100 of the most popular magazines that you can now get without getting a subscription of your own. If you like iTunes, we've got a service called Freegal. You get 3 commercial digital rights management free downloads per week. There's just so much available online as well, so don't forget about our online presence.
No, I'm really happy to have you tell everybody what you have, because I know you haven't even touched on all of it yet. But this
Right.
summer, I think you're going to be putting out a brochure outlining some of the many things that you have at this library.
Absolutely. We'll have a recap of that, and we'll also be sending a mailing out to all households about the millage request, so there is more detail there too for people to find out. We're all about information, and an educated voter is our best customer, to sound like a commercial ad, and so come on in and visit the library.
Well, very good. And Larry Neal, thank you for what you've done for this community and for this library system, and also to the volunteers who work here at the library. It's a dedication, it's a passion. I've seen many of them. I know many of them from the community. Thank you so much for what you do. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'm Bob Cannon, Clinton Township Supervisor. On behalf of my board and on behalf of Janet Dunn's board up in Macomb Township, thank you.